Why did they need to do a second one? Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, similar to Simba's Pride, Lion King 2,
Both.
tells the story of a group of friends who are fascinated with the movie The Blair Witch Project, which is, yes, quite literally the hit sensation feature film within this film's universe. Yeah. Jeff, played by Jeffrey Donovan, a previous mental patient having been released from a psych unit. Erica, played by Erica Learson, a feminist naturistic witch. Stephen, played by Stephen Barker Turner, and his girlfriend Tristan, played by Tristan Schuyler. As well as Kim, played by Kim Director, as opposed to Kim Producer, a psychic emo chick who everybody hates. Oh, we all know one of those.
No need to explain.
They all head to the location of where the Blair Witch Project was filmed, but mysteriously black out and spend the rest of the movie trying to piece together what happened that night. All whilst mysterious things begin to happen around them.
Okay.
After the gigantic success of the first movie, production of a sequel was immediately pursued while the film was still gaining publicity, spearheaded by Artisan Entertainment. However, Haxon Films, who produced the original, wanted to wait until the initial buzz had actually died down before making a follow-up. But instead of waiting for them to be ready, Artisan decided to be money-hungry gits and proceeded without them anyway. And I think that's the main problem. You have to understand that when the first one came out, we all genuinely believed that these were real teenagers who actually were brutally murdered on camera. As silly as it sounds now, the marketing was genius and it all looked completely legitimate. It's a cool idea to discuss the sheer impact the movie made, but for this to come out and immediately point out that everything we're about to see is fictionalized, considering it's only a year later, it just destroyed the entire buzz.
This makes no sense.
They organised a script competition in which 4 writers would separately write 4 different scripts, and planned to choose the best one to serve as the basis for the movie. Because the last time fans submitted screenplays, it worked out so well. Supposedly, one of these 4 drafts would have centered around Heather trying to prove her innocence of Josh and Mike's disappearances. How did she get out safely when the first movie clearly indicated that she was also killed?
This makes no sense.
And taking a group of people into the woods to show them the truth. The story would then turn into a whodunit plot where the group get picked off one by one, and every character becomes a suspect, until part of the group are revealed to be a cult trying to create a new Blair Witch using Heather as a vassal. That actually sounds quite cool. In the end, the studio ditched this idea and chose John Bokenkamp as the movie screenwriter, who took the 4 screenplays written and combined them into one final draft. It shows. They then approached Joe Berlinger to direct the picture, having been impressed with his work on true crime documentaries. But he rejected them due to not being interested in found footage films and disliking the draft that he was presented with. Berlinger instead presented his own treatment, which didn't focus on Heather at all and completely discarded the series' mythology. And Artisan was so impressed that they ditched Bokenkamp's script in favour of his, and also hired his previous collaborator Dick Beebe to co-write the final draft. Good call, Artisan. You showed them.
Nice.
While developing the screenplay, Berlinger spent time in the real town of Burkittsville to research and interview locals, many of whom served as direct inspirations for the characters featured in the original. He also sought to address complaints filed against the first movie, specifically the frustrations felt by the Wiccan community, who felt that the original misconstrued their views and showed their religion in a negative light. Berlinger also wanted the film to comment on the lazy consumption of media that led many to accept the Blair Witch Project as a true documentary, specifically the fact that so many people were willing to accept that something shot on video was real. On one hand, Blair Witch 2 works as a standard horror movie, but it also is a meditation on violence in the media and the nature of fanaticism and obsession.
You gotta realize that.
Filming began in the spring of 2000 and lasted 44 days, but issues arose during post-production. The director wanted the movie to be more of a psychological thriller with an ambiguous tone, but Artisan forced him to reshoot certain scenes to make it into more of a traditional slasher film. For example, the footage of the main characters slaughtering the foreign tourists was literally shot in the director's back garden mere weeks before the film's planned premiere. The expository dialogue scenes in the hospital were also added because the studio thought the film was too confusing, and the interrogation scenes spliced throughout the movie were originally 2 longer scenes which acted as bookends. Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, coming soon, Judgment Day, Terminator 2, was released on October the 27th, 2000 and was universally panned, many deeming it one of the worst sequels of all time. Despite this, the film was still a box office success, pulling in $47 million worldwide, but it was nowhere near what the studio had hoped. But amazingly, despite the poor reception, the movie weirdly has a bit of a cult following now, with some arguing that the film is a commentary on the public reception to the first movie, as well as the dangers of confusing fiction with reality. I think it's a danger of confusing filmmaking with pure dog shit. The movie's main problem is clearly going out of its way to destroy anything established in the first film. Within the first 2 minutes, they consider the possibility of it being real.
What's not clear, though, is whether the Blair Witch legend is true.
Only to immediately discard it and call it all bullshit.
It's a place that a fictional movie was set in.
And they really like to shit over the original, almost as if they have some kind of weird grudge against it.
How many Heather Donahues does it take to screw in a light bulb? How many?
Bin ich extra aus Berlin gekommen, um ein paar Bäume anzugucken, okay?
Their footage was found a year later, underexposed and useless.
2 guys and a girl sleeping in the same tent night after night and no sex.
People just want to see something.
Even trying to cover up the obvious plot hole of how the hell the tapes were released.
Where they found the Blair Witch tapes? You gotta be kidding me.
As explained, we do get flashbacks to Jeff in a psychiatric center having experiments done to him, but they're completely random and have nothing to do with anything. They don't affect the plot or the character, and they're never explained or even elaborated on.
You're a long way from sane.
I'm so glad they showed that. For a second, I forgot that he was a complete nutjob. That was vital for me understanding the plot. There's several hallucinations throughout the movie, but the issue is, not only are they not particularly scary, but they take away all of the mystery from the original, and it just turns it into a really generic slasher film with people being picked off one by one. And the composer was obviously drunk, and apparently from the 1950s. Although, and I'm pretty sure we're not allowed to say this because it's Marilyn Manson, but this movie's soundtrack is sick. Berlinger actually wanted the opening credits song to be Witchcraft by Frank Sinatra, but the studio replaced it with Marilyn Manson's Disposable Teens in an attempt to draw in teenage audiences. The movie goes back and forth from the kids being interrogated about the events later on in the film just so they can inspire the 2002 remake of Carrie.
Apparently he's here researching a book with his girlfriend. The book's title is
Book of Shadows?
The Blair Witch, History or Hysteria.
Oh yeah, no, that'd be stupid. Yeah, the title is never explained. You quite literally have to do your own research just to understand the fucking title. Can you imagine if every movie makes you actually go out of your way to look up what the hell the title means?
This makes no sense.
The characters aren't particularly fun or interesting or make any goddamn sense.
This is where your other tour mate asked us to meet her. She's a little weird. She thinks she's psychic or some shit.
Your friend literally thinks that she goes to Hogwarts.
But a real witch.
Blessed be.
Oh, Wiccan.
Like 30 seconds ago. And if you want subtlety, this isn't the film for you, as the goth chick quite literally lies down on a grave and hates everyone.
To record all occult phenomena that may manifest itself in the course of the tour.
Damn. You're really running bullshit central here, aren't you?
You think you can read minds? And wait, Grandpa Joe? Well, his life sure went downhill after losing that chocolate factory. Oh, and it turns out she really is psychic. Yeah, she figures out that Tristan is pregnant before the others, but yet finds the concept of a fucking witch a little bit far-fetched. But my god, is Erica annoying in this.
May I have permission to take this leaf?
Thank you.
This whole Blair Witch thing set us back 300 years. It's like we're back in the burning times. People think that I drink blood, that I sacrifice children, that I worship the devil just because I'm a Wiccan.
No, I think you need the psychiatric unit.
Great American pastime. Blame it on a witch.
Yes. In 2000, many people are blaming crimes on witches. Stop acting like you're oppressed. You think you can ride broomsticks.
No, I know, like, they disowned her or something because she's a witch, but...
Would you, though? Would you really? I'd just see her medical attention. The movie is about as subtle as Schindler's List. Kim gets victimized for how she dresses. Yeah, those poor oppressed white folk.
Fucking rednecks!
So you're victimized for the clothes that you're choosing to wear, and that upsets you. And yet you're attacking these people based on where they're from. And you don't see the hypocrisy. These characters are delightful. Everyone gets stoned around the campfire, and that's the issue. The original was so iconic and one of a kind, but this one just becomes a generic film from the 2000s. The movie tries to make a tree scary.
Explain to me this, why a house built in 1826 was built around a tree. I mean, this thing would have been sticking straight up through the living room.
It's a fucking tree! When is a tree ever gonna be scary? Okay, case in point. The movie also has some genius, award-winning dialogue.
We still have to eat, shit, and die like the rest of you. We just look good doing it.
Your balls will fall off in 3 days.
And get this, Tristan downs a shit ton of beer, which they even acknowledge.
How many beers is that for you?
I'm serious. You're drinking like a freaking fish.
Then she dreams about having a miscarriage, and then the baby actually dies. And everyone is shocked. What the fuck do you mean? You quite literally just saw her drink a shit ton of beer whilst pregnant, you morons.
She lost the baby.
And for the rest of the movie, they say that she miscarried.
Tristan had a miscarriage.
Do you know what a miscarriage is? No, this was an abortion.
No, I know how much you wanted that baby. I'm sorry, I didn't want it.
Which is fine. If you don't want the baby, your body, your choice. Go to an abortion clinic. Don't drown the little git in tequila, you little bitch. It's pretty damn hard to sympathize with someone who drinks a shit ton of booze and deliberately offs a baby.
Your body's telling you something was wrong.
Like alcohol isn't good for babies. Who the fuck greenlit this script?
This makes no sense.
Seriously, for the whole movie, nobody can comprehend how or why she lost the baby, as if it's the work of the fucking Blair Witch.
I need to understand what happened.
What do you mean, what happened? You drowned your little baby in rum and then the baby died. What is there to know?
This whole thing has really fucked her up.
Turns out if you deliberately murder your baby in a really sadistic way, it really takes its toll on you.
What are you saying? I didn't have anything to do with the baby.
Witch.
You took shots of vodka and then tap danced on its grave. What the fuck do you mean?
Killing her because she had a miscarriage.
That she caused?
This makes no sense.
Kim has an intense stare down with a fucking owl. I actually don't mind the acting at the start, especially from Jeff, but as the movie progresses, it gets really bad.
What the fuck?
What am I gonna do? Come on. Why would they be in there?
And then they shift into ridiculous overacting.
My word! Which is worth exactly shit to me! Did you?
Jeff, are they your tapes?
Yeah, Erica, they're my tapes! I don't know. She found them. Maybe she put them in there.
Fuck, I don't know, you got.
I have no idea where these came from.
Rip your fucking head off! Then fucking do it!
Stop it! Look at the goddamn tapes!
Although Stephen does get quite good during the interrogation scenes.
Well, it was an old factory just after the Civil War. They were gonna tear it down, but I talked them into selling to me for $1.
No. As they analyse the videotapes, I do love how we're supposed to believe that this kind of technology was so easily accessible by random people in 2000. There's a weird scene where Erica tries to shag Stephen. I don't blame him. His wife killed their baby. Fuck Erica's brains out, mate. I hope you enjoy it. But no, it's just a fantasy between both of them. Somehow.
This makes no sense.
I mean, Kim actually is psychic, and apparently Erica is actually a witch, so surely the Blair Witch wouldn't be much competition between the two of them. Just use your magic powers, zap her away. I will admit, the film does have some moments where you truly have no idea what the hell is going on, and you really need to see the solution of it all.
Where is she? Why are all her clothes and all her shit still here?
How am I supposed to know?
Oh, can't you see her, Kimmy? In your mind's eye?
I mean, he has a point.
Very funny, asshole.
He wasn't joking. Why can't you see it in your mind anymore? Then Erica gets possessed or something. The woman who murdered their baby doesn't help her boyfriend and we're supposed to be surprised. He even still comforts her. No, stop that. There's a scene where they realise they need to play the tapes in reverse, which was supposed to be an homage to The Exorcist. When in The Exorcist did they rewind tapes? But I mean, you can clearly see the timestamps still moving forwards and not backwards. This movie can't do anything right! And it turns out the Blair Witch, this evil, mystical being of undead energy, possessed them all to have a raving orgy. I'm booking my tickets to Burkittsville right now. This Blair Witch doesn't sound that bad. But as they watch the tapes, because Tristan is the last one holding the camera, they believe that she somehow possessed them all to fuck each other. But as intense as this confrontation scene is, it's completely ruined by... It's a bit unnecessary. Although I will say her suddenly becoming evil is actually really fucking creepy. Until they ruin it again.
She's the witch, man!
But I must admit, I do actually quite like the ending. The Blair Witch somehow manipulates the tapes to show them all killing people to frame them. Yeah, it's never explained, but isn't that what made the original film work so well? It was ambiguous as hell. If anything, the main problem with this movie is that they try to explain too much with the over-the-top characters and flashbacks. But here, it's boom, they're framed and the movie ends. It's so shocking and confusing. And considering the circumstances, the overacting makes sense and works here as they're all wrongfully framed for murder. It's a pretty good ending to an otherwise completely terrible movie. Now, if you excuse me, I have more to explore.